To record this tutorial, I am using Ubuntu Linux 16.04 operating system. To follow this series, you should have working knowledge of Java programming language. If not, then go through the relevant Java tutorials on this website. We have basic and intermediate level tutorials in this series. In the basic level, we have created a registration form app. We have covered how to use the basic tools such as text view, radio group, radio button, spinner, image view, buttons. In the intermediate level, we have created a search app for Spoken Tutorial project. Let me show the demo of ST Search app. Select a FOSS and language and click on the search button. It will load the thumbnails of the selected series and language in the next window. If you click on any thumbnail, the respective video will play. Let us see the software required to create this app. Android Studio is an IDE designed specifically for Android development. It is the official IDE for Google's Android operating system. It is built on JetBrains IntelliJ IDEA software. In this series, an Android app is created using Kotlin programming language. Kotlin is an open source programming language that runs on JVM, that is Java Virtual Machine. Google announced Kotlin as an official programming language for Android OS. It is easy to learn and the syntax is very similar to Java. Kotlin is more expressive, which makes the code more readable and understandable. It has better performance and small runtime. Now, we will briefly go through the individual tutorials in this series. The first tutorial in this series explains about installation of Android Studio in Ubuntu Linux operating system. For Windows installation, please refer to the installation sheet of this series. Here is a glimpse of. Type the URL shown here. Click on the Download Android Studio button. If you are using any other OS, please click on the download option link for that OS. The next tutorial in this series explains the Android Studio interface, how to create a Hello World app, how to run the Kotlin app, and see the output in the Android phone. It contains a text view with the text Hello World. We can see different panels in the layout editor. At the top left is a palette. It has some common tools such as text, buttons, widgets, etc. The next tutorial is creating a registration form. In this tutorial, we will learn to add text view, plain text and buttons, set the constraints and attributes, create a simple form, write Kotlin code for button click event. Let us have a look at this tutorial. Now, change the ID of this button as My Send button. Change the text property to click here, which will change the text of the button in the layout editor. The next tutorial is adding radio buttons. Here we will add a radio group to group the radio buttons. See the demonstration of adding gender radio buttons. Write the source code to decide which radio button is selected. Here is a glimpse of the tutorial. Now, drag one more radio button and release it on the first radio button in the component tree. Now, select the first radio button in the component tree and change its text attribute to male. The next tutorial is adding spinner and image. In this tutorial, we will learn to add a drop-down menu using the spinner to select a department. Add an image using image view to upload a picture. Let me play this tutorial. Next, we will add a drop-down menu to select a department name. In the palette search, we will type spinner and find the spinner tool from the list. Drag the spinner and place it below department text view. The next tutorial is creating a search app. At the end of this tutorial, we will know about the design of the app with text views, spinner, and search button. Data identification in Spoken Tutorial Server, source code for selecting an item from the spinner, running the app to see the selected FOSS ID and language ID as output in the Android phone. Let me play this tutorial. Go to firstactivity.kt. Type the code below inside onCreate method. Here we store the FOSS and language with their IDs in hash map data structure as shown. The next tutorial is URL request. Here we will learn to pass the FOSS and language IDs to the URL of Spoken Tutorial website and parse the response JSON data. Let's have a look at this tutorial. This will use a new request queue method of Valet library. Next, declare a variable URL and assign the string as shown. Here, the URL is dynamic as we have to concatenate the FOSS and language IDs received in intent. The next tutorial is display search result. It explains how to use recycler view to display the thumbnail of videos. Get the thumbnail from a specific Spoken Tutorial YouTube URL. Pass the video ID of the selected Spoken Tutorial. Here is a glimpse of the tutorial. Next, we need a text view to show the title of the video. So, drag a text view and drop it in the component tree on video_thumbnail. The image view and text view are embedded together. The next tutorial is playing video using YouTube API. It explains how to create a project in Google Cloud, enable the YouTube API, initialize the YouTube player view in Android Studio, run the Kotlin app, and play the selected video. It also shows the required links to publish or upload the Android app on Google Play Store. Here is a glimpse of the tutorial. In the top menu bar, click on Select a Project drop-down box. Create a new project by clicking on New Project button at the top right of the dialog box. In the next screen, type the name of the project as My Kotlin Project. Then click on Create button at the bottom of the screen. This brings us to the end of this tutorial.